Welcome to the Podcast Discovery Show, the podcast about other podcasts. Where each week we dive deep into a podcast and have a book club style discussion about all the things that made us think and all the things that made us feel. And at the end of the episode, we're going to bring you a brand new recommendation for you to go out and listen to. Come back, we'll talk about that one next week. I'm Josh.
I'm Kirk.
And I am Zach. And this week, we are talking about spectacular failures, MoviePass. So in this show, they break down just that, spectacular failures, things that a lot of times they succeed a little bit, but then they blow up big time, just like MoviePass.
So, Kirk, this was a recommendation of yours. What about this podcast made you want to recommend it? Because I don't feel like this is typically your style of podcast. There's every once in a while you'll come with one that's kind of like this, but generally it's not your style of podcast. What made you want to recommend this one?
I don't know. I've always been intrigued by first startups, like startup kind of companies, those stories, and
Failure.
with that comes a lot of failure. And with a lot of successful things, usually there's a lot of stories of failure beforehand. And
Sure.
I've always I don't know, like even like Disney. I love Disney. I love Walt Disney, like the man, and he failed so many times before his company took off and is now like ridiculous. And I don't know, I've always kind of liked that kind of thing. And I knew about MoviePass. I didn't know the story behind it really, and I was intrigued to hear the story behind MoviePass because it seemed like such a too good to be true type story, and we find out that it was too good to be true.
Yeah.
And there was a lot more to it than I thought. I mean, the origins were awesome. I think that the idea is awesome. I don't know. I think that it will be successful in another format, maybe not MoviePass itself, but in I think they were too early in a way. You know what I mean? I think this will be something that will happen. It is happening right now. But I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's something that everyone wants, and I think there's definitely a market there for it. But I think, to your point, they were a little early, and they mismanaged some key pieces. And
Definitely.
They gambled big on a couple of things that didn't end up paying off for them. And it's kind of tragic because it's like when someone disrupts an industry and they're first and they had the idea, it doesn't always mean they're the one that ends up making the money from it. And so it's always sad to see someone that kind of is first and then they don't get to be the one to kind of reap the benefits and the rewards of it.
Yeah, it happens though.
But I think he did because he basically sold and was bought out. So he probably got a really big payoff and was able to kind of ride off into the sunset and do his own thing.
But what was the name of that company that made the first Oreo? It wasn't Oreo.
Oh, what is it called?
Cream Betweens.
No.
Not that.
Have you guys watched Good Mythical Morning? That's the off-brand name of Oreo thing.
It's
Cream
It
Betweens.
has like a Z. It's almost like Xerox.
Xerox starts with an X.
I know. But it sounds like it starts with a Z.
Xenon.
Xerox could be spelled
Hydrox.
Hydrox. See?
It's got a Z in it. It doesn't
It's got
have
a Z in it,
has
like
an X in
Xerox.
it. But no, it just first is not always the lasting winner. But it was interesting because on first blush, here is a MoviePass. You have it and you have unlimited movies as soon as you buy it. And most people, and me included, you're like, okay, that sounds great. It sounds like a great thing because, I mean, I think that at least by the time that I was more aware of it, it was reasonably priced too. And I definitely was questioning how they could do this, how they could...
It definitely always sounded too good to be true once most of us heard about it. So let's hit some highlights on what they brought up. First of all, the audio quality and everything was awesome. I loved there was almost like some investigative journalism type feel to the show.
Sure.
Lauren was the name of the host, and she interviewed like all of these really influential people about the company. So the person that founded it, the person that ended up buying the company, she interviewed some really intense people. But she also has this like storytelling type vibe to it as well. She starts out telling a story about her and her friend going to watch this horrible movie, and she paid full price for it, and her friend used her MoviePass, and so she wasn't out any money.
And that is a kind of interesting premise that they hit on, where there's not as much opportunity cost. So you're more likely to just go take a risk on a movie if you have a MoviePass, because you're not concerned like, oh, I have to decide if I'm going to go do this. If I have a MoviePass, just go see whatever.
Yeah. It's if you have the MoviePass, it's like the Netflix for movie theaters. You just kind of go and watch whatever looks interesting at any given time. There's no additional stakes other than having to drive over to the theater and sit down there.
And I mean, it was also trying to like kind of revitalize an industry that needs that. They need something to draw people to the theater again. So it was so close to just a great idea.
Yeah, and I think the average cost of movie tickets has probably gone down pretty significantly over the past like 10 years. I remember paying $20-25 a ticket back
What?
when we were in high school. Like
I don't think
tickets
so.
were like super
No,
expensive.
they've gone up. They've gone up in general.
I don't think your memory's right.
I feel like tickets used to be way more expensive, and now you can
You need to
get
do some
tickets-
market research. I'm pretty sure that maybe that was you and two friends.
Yeah, I think they've
don't
gone
know,
up
maybe.
like because it was like cheaper.
It used to be like $8 or something
but
like that. Now it's like $12 to $14 for a ticket, which is a lot more.
I think we've seen two dips. You see what I mean? I think that it was probably lowish when we were middle school. Then it kind of jumped because there was a time where it was huge. Pre-Netflix, it was you would go see
Our local movie theater used to be $5. Literally $5.
Yeah.
I remember that.
small
it's
ones.
not that long ago.
Small ones still do that.
Well, what I'm seeing is a lot of movie theaters have like matinees that are still $5.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can still get $5 tickets at most movie theaters if you go at the right time. If you go during prime time, they're probably more expensive overall. But I feel like there's more options to see movies cheaper now than there used to be.
And I think the movie theaters are more moving towards like something unique about the theater. Okay, we're going to sell drinks. We're going to have specialty food.
Yeah.
We're going to have like recliners, like that's the thing right now. Or
Well, it's trying to
we're going
find
to
a
have
way
the
to
IMAX,
make the experience better so people
Mm-hmm.
go there for an experience of going to a movie theater.
Y'all ever done the D-Box?
No, I don't know what that is.
They have them at Cobb theaters. It's like it's a theater chair, but it moves and vibrates to the movie. So like it's kind of like a 3D experience, a 4D experience, I guess is what you would call it. I've never done it, but it looks ridiculous.
Something like that seems like a gimmick almost, and not something that would make my experience better.
I've heard people say it really, really adds to the immersion. And I think that's kind of the next big thing is immersion. Because they're talking about that with VR and a lot of other things as far as like making things be more immersive is adding that extra element, whether it's like movement or vibration that you feel when the Hulk picks up a car and smashes it, or you have that 360 panoramic view. These different things are kind of enhancing immersion, where if they do it in a way where, because like 3D goggles, I feel like 3D was a gimmick. People said it enhanced immersion. I felt like it was a gimmick the whole time. I never liked it. I never got it. But I feel like if they can find something that actually enhances immersion, then good, do it.
I mean, for me, I feel like just make it so that your theater has good food and drinks, and then people would go there and eat and then go see a movie.
You mean like microwaved hot dogs is not good food?
No, but all they have to do is make a burger well, and that's it. If you make good burgers and fries and beer,
Good Burger Theater.
I'd go with that.
Welcome to the Good Burger, home of the Good Burger.
Can I take your order?
Yeah, I was about to say,
There
you
you
got
go.
to say the last part is like, you can't just not. But yeah, no, they've tried a lot of things to try and get the experience elevated so people want to go again. And this was so close to hitting it, but just couldn't quite.
So some of the numbers I want to drop out real quick. The average cost of a movie is $9.11. So that's across the U.S. That's the average cost of a movie. And when MoviePass was first coming out at the like cheap rate, it was only $108 for a whole year membership.
It's a good deal.
Literally, you only had to watch 12 movies to at least break even.
So you go once a month, yeah.
Yeah, just one movie a month and you'd break even.
I do feel like if I had it, I would go to more than that.
Easily. I mean, I go to more than one movie a month just because I have kids right now. Like,
I rarely go to the movies.
So you go to a
that's
lot
the
of
only
bad
movies
movies.
I go watch anymore is because they haven't been putting very many good movies for adults lately, I feel like.
I mean, they make some good kids movies now.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
How to
better
Train Your
at it.
Dragon is really good. Like those movies are really good.
Pixar
I mean,
movies have been
Pixar-
really good.
Into the Spider-Verse was amazing.
I would say that's like slightly older kids,
Right.
Not young kids.
I don't know. They've been phoning in some things, but they've also been doing really good in other things. That's where kids movies are right
So
now.
what do you call like a movie guy? Like a guy that like watches movies all the time? Like, because I feel like there's some people that are
Cinephile.
Cinephile, I've heard that.
cinephile. That sounds, I don't know. I don't like it. I feel
Well,
like there should
that's
be a
the
better
word.
word, but I guess that's
What, like movie guy?
better than movie guy and better than
Movie
cinephile.
man. There you go.
I don't know.
Well, I feel like movie guy is not
Film connoisseur.
I think there should be a better word.
Filmolier.
I'll get my people on it.
Okay.
Filmolier.
Who are your people? Is it us? Are you going to try and make us make up a new word? Is that what's happening? Cold
I'll
open?
shop it around.
Okay.
So I do want to touch on just a few little highlights on the show. They talked about the origins of MoviePass, and I actually had no clue about it. But this MoviePass had some really good, like a really good origin story where the guy's name was Spike. His name was Spike, and he created a film festival for minorities. And MoviePass originally was to try to get people to go see these film festival movies, essentially.
Yeah, because festivals, a lot of times you pay for like a ticket.
Yeah, so it was originally like a Groupon for those specific movies. So everyone would buy a ticket to go see X movie in a theater, and then the theater would bring the movie in because they'd already pre-sold all the tickets
Exactly.
to sell out the theater. And so that's kind of how it started, which is completely different than where they pivoted to.
But so then Spike kind of pivoted into building an app and stuff like that and an infrastructure to roll this out. How long did he say he worked on it? Was it 5 years that he worked on it before they actually tried to roll it
Yeah, I
out
think so. And
as
I mean,
actual MoviePass as we kind of know it?
the idea is so interesting. It was so
And
close.
They rolled it out, and he said, if you could imagine the sound of crickets, that was the reception that they got from the movie theaters. It was like no one cared and no one wanted anything to do with it.
Well, they used the quote, it was born on a Thursday and died on a Friday, because I think when they initially released it, one of the movie theaters like blasted them.
yeah.
It was like, this is garbage. No one should use it. This is a waste.
Yeah, a lot of them did. And also there's some film companies that have different deals than everybody else. Like if you want to have Star Wars at your theater, you have to have Star Wars at your theater. Disney will make it so like you have to have a certain percentage of your screens are showing it. They're very specific. They're like movie theaters don't have very much control over some of like how much they have to play things, because if they want major titles, a lot of times there's strings attached.
It's crazy.
But then in 2012, they basically re-released MoviePass, and this sounds more reasonable. It's a lot of money, but for people that are going to use it, they're going to watch a lot of movies to get their money's worth. And it was $50 a month, and that's a lot of money, but it was for the die-hard movie fans.
Yeah.
These are for the people that are going to go watch all the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're in a town where average movie ticket is $12, $15 a ticket, then you're seeing a movie once a weekend, then you're even.
Yeah.
Yeah, our cousin lived in New York and he got one.
Yeah.
Because it's very expensive. Everything is in New York, just cost of living's higher. And so he had it and he saved a ton of money.
But then Spike essentially, like, I think he basically got bought out. The company got bought out by this other company, so Spike was no longer involved. And this new guy, he's like, hey, we're going to make this the new Netflix of movies. That's what they said. And they brought it down to $9 a month. And immediately it just like exploded because
up.
it's too good to be true. I mean, it just is.
They were saying they wanted to get 200,000 users.
Yeah,
over the
in
first
2
year.
days, they got 150,000 users. And that's what they wanted in 2 years.
It's insane.
And they got it in 2 days. It crashed all their servers and everything. And it just basically, I don't know how they didn't think this was going to explode at that price, but
Yeah.
they didn't.
Well, maybe because they had a lukewarm reception when they first released it.
It's possible. In 4 months, they had 1 million, and then it went to 3 million. And so, like, there was just the market immediately just saturated, like so many people at one time. I know a lot of people that I followed on Twitter and Facebook or whatever had MoviePass, and they loved it when it worked. And then
Yeah.
when it started tailing off,
Started getting
they were
limited.
very angry.
And the crazy thing is how recent this was. It started.
I don't even think it was a year ago, was it?
It started like Q3, Q4 2018. So it's been like the last like calendar year has been when this whole thing unfolded.
So keep this in mind. These were the numbers that kind of blew my mind. So to have MoviePass was $9 a month. MoviePass, the company, was paying AMC $12.02 per ticket. So if any person watched even one movie, they were already losing money.
Yeah, I think they were maybe playing on the whole
Breakage is what they call it. That's where they call it. They call it breakage, according to this episode. I didn't know about it, but it's the verbiage that they use where there's more people that are bought into your service that aren't actually using it.
Yeah.
They talked about how like gift cards at restaurants, it's a big thing. They try to get you to buy a gift card.
What's the gym?
What
The super
gym memberships?
The super cheap
24-hour
gym.
fitness
No, the other one.
Planet Fitness?
Planet Fitness.
Yeah.
I think that the vast majority of people that have Planet Fitness do not go.
I had a membership for a year, and I used it twice.
So I think that's a very,
Yeah.
like, it's an effective model in some cases.
And the other thing is for breakage, things like CBS All Access. That's why everyone is going to the subscription model
Zach.
now.
Hey, guys, guess what happened today?
Oh, you canceled it today?
Nope. Got charged today. Another month of CBS All Access. Here we go.
He was the poster child of breakage.
Then in the dictionary, there's a picture of Zach
Yep.
next to breakage.
Me
But no,
and CBS All Access.
That's why every company is trying to make their model subscription, because anyone that signs up for it, there's a large percentage of people that are just going to keep it because they forget to cancel it. And so then they continue to make money off of people that are not using their service or are locked in or committed or whatever. And so it becomes a extra profit center for them.
But I will say I'm not, and this is a side kind of, but I'm not super sad about it because Picard is about to come out, and I want to watch Picard.
Yeah, and you can watch all of the
Keep justifying it, Zach.
you can watch all of the back episodes of Survivor.
You still need to watch The
that.
Twilight Zone. I'm going to keep saying it.
I've watched one. I watched
did?
one with Kumail Nanjiani.
I love Kumail Nanjiani.
He was a comedian. It was.
You need to watch
it
the
was
one about
okay.
the kid president. That one was good.
But yeah, so it's interesting that was kind of their model, but I don't think that it was working. And I wonder if it was like
Yeah.
a hard influx at the beginning, like too many people when they first get
It was kind of like a perfect poop storm. It just kept getting worse and worse. There was so many things at one time that were just not working at the same time. Too many people all at once, and then like people were abusing the system, which we'll talk about in a minute. At one point, they were losing $21 million per month.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's not a good business model.
No, and I think they said they needed 5 million subscribers to break even.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah.
That's rough. That's a lot of people.
And one of the main things that they were complaining about was people gaming the system.
So yeah, there was people that were buying tickets and then scalping tickets and selling them at a discount because it cost them nothing extra.
Yeah.
So they would just sit outside the movie theater, buy a ticket, sell it to someone for $5-10, and then all of a sudden they're making money off of MoviePass. And MoviePass is losing a ton of money.
You sell 2 tickets for $5. Someone's getting a good deal on a ticket, and you've already paid for your movie
And
pass.
who's getting a real bad deal? MoviePass.
Yep. So there was a lot of things that they didn't have kind of measures in place to lock it in so that you couldn't do that. And there wasn't I think one of their big challenges was probably the infrastructure at the movie theaters. Because if you have infrastructure at the theaters where they scan your phone and it has to be on your phone and it's like an app and it's a special thing, then you're not going to be handing your phone to people to go into the movie theater.
Yeah.
It's a whole different thing.
They weren't quick enough on keeping up with what could go wrong.
Right.
They weren't ahead of what could
Yep.
happen.
And they just needed a more sophisticated delivery system for people to get their tickets in a way that locked it into that person and was tracking things like that. And they just were so far behind that they got eaten up by it.
And then they talked about the downward spiral of MoviePass, and it was nuts. So they knew things were going wrong because they started like slowly like taking away what movies you could watch, what theaters were letting you use it, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And then they knew people were mad because people were just going crazy on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook. Everyone was just mad. And so hey, let's do this cute little thing where we have this dog that is our
Director of marketing.
It's like, hey, I'm sorry you're so mad at everything, but I'm a dog, so I can't fix
I'm
it.
cute,
It's like-
right?
It was the stupidest thing ever.
It's terrible marketing.
I get it, but it did not land.
They have to like assume that people are completely stupid. It's like be distracted.
That's why it's not working. It's run by a dog.
It's dogs. I get it now. Why it's so bad.
And so in in just 1 year, they lost 90% of their customers. 90%.
Yeah, that's a hemorrhage right there. That's ridiculous.
Their stock completely got like taken off of
Delisted on NASDAQ.
It got taken off because it was like, what did she say? It was trading for less than a gumball.
Yeah.
That is not a good sign. It's not a comparison you want to have.
And I'm not going to lie, they talk because it's still around now, but they talked about what it pivoted into now, and it sounds like they're not making the good choices again. They started making movies.
They made that real good movie, right?
The great one, yeah. The Great Gotti. It's just Gotti. But it was not great, and apparently got like a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I remember when this came out, people said they would rather do painful things than watch that movie.
Someone said they would rather wake up with a horse head in their bed than to watch this movie again. And then they talked about how like their plan is to have their customers be able to be in movies. I'm like, what?
It's so ambitious.
What is this? It's
about a left field.
I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know where this company's going to end up.
I like that idea, though. I feel like that is their target audience, and that like will resonate well with their target audience of people that are very into movies, going to see movies all the time. If you could win like a sweepstakes or like a contest to go be in a movie, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
like it's a really, really cool thing.
Yeah, and it's also interesting that I think it was the owner that bailed has started a new thing where what he does is you can earn movie tickets by watching. I can't remember. He called it like boutique or like artisanal trailers or like ads. So basically, people will pay a premium to show it to a certain group of people, and you can earn tickets by watching ads.
I mean, if you're paying me to watch movie trailers, I'm all in.
You can go to the Bloodmobile and give some blood and get a movie ticket too.
Yep. You can do that too. But no, the thing is, like, I like watching movie trailers because then you like get to see what movies are coming out and know, does this look cool or does this look terrible? And then they probably have like a little survey afterwards for you to say like, I liked this or I didn't like this or here's why I didn't like this. You probably spend 10 minutes giving them some feedback and then you get a movie ticket from it. I'd do that.
I'll give you my trailer feedback. It better not have any plot points in it.
Jeez, that
kills me. Like,
I've seen trailers where like it goes through everything and I'm like, okay, end of trailer. And then it goes for another like 45 seconds to a minute and a half and it tells you the entire plot of the entire movie.
I remember when The Martian came out, I had read the book, so I knew what was going to happen. They tell you the entire story. In the trailer, you can find the entire story of The Martian, like the whole thing. And it's, why would I go see the movie then? But I think through focus groups, they figured out that a lot of people want to have a general sense, or maybe even more than a general sense of kind of what the movie is. But I'm more like, I want to get a sense of the atmosphere of it, but no storyline. I don't want to know the plot points.
I've found out that that's something that I get really triggered about really quick is spoiling anything. Like I was trying to play Super Mario Odyssey with my son and he had played through way more than I had. So he would try and play with me and he would keep telling me things that are going to happen. And I was like, stop talking. No, like go to your room. Like go to your room. You can't play this with me.
Get in the closet.
You're telling me everything that's going to happen. You can't sit here and just tell me everything that's going to happen before I do it. And that's when I realized I have a problem, and I get really triggered by spoilers. Spoilers make me unreasonably angry because I feel like I'm not experiencing it how it should be.
Yeah, which is fresh.
It makes me real angry.
Yeah, I get that.
And I think other people don't care about that. They're more about the experience of seeing the movie. They don't care if they know what's going to happen. They just want to experience.
Yeah, no, but some people still do it right. Like I think Quentin Tarantino doesn't really buy into that. Like, cause, and I mean, I purposely, here's my trick. You watch the teaser trailer, the first trailer they put out for any movie, it's not going to tell you everything. They want to get you hyped, but they don't want you to know what's going on. And so you're usually safe. But if you start watching like the third trailer that comes out, you're going to get spoiled.
Yep.
Spoilered.
So I really love the show.
Yeah,
I mean,
really
I
interesting.
really like the premise. I saw a lot of other interesting subjects that I want to like go back and listen to some other episodes. So this is one I'm actually going to throw on my rotation. I'm probably going to pick a few that I really want to listen to and keep those on my back burner to listen to later on. But I do have a new recommendation for next week. And it is, I know we've talked about This American Life before. I know everyone knows what the show is about, but I listened to an episode recently that I thought was really powerful. It was very poignant for today, And it's episode number 673, which that's 673 episodes. That is nuts.
He's killing it.
And it's entitled Left Behind.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about This American Life.
Yeah, Hourglass is awesome. Well, we'll talk to you next week. And remember,
There's always more to discover.
thank you for listening to the Podcast Discovery Show. We have a few things we'd like to tell you. First, we would love to hear from you on Twitter at the PDS Official or in our Facebook group, the Podcast Discovery Club.
Secondly, leaving a rating or review on iTunes helps tremendously in giving us visibility and also visibility to the podcast that we recommend. You can also check out our Patreon page to get exclusive bloopers, old episode archives, and other exclusive content while supporting the show.
Finally, seriously, get in touch. We'd love to hear from you about what you love about podcasts. And thank you for being a part of all of the things that we do.
This was a podcast from the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.